This is the first Tuesday of the month Waupaca City Council meeting.
June 5th, 2018. It is 6 p.m. and I call this meeting to order. And let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll ask Sandy to read the open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all other meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
And would you also take roll?
Brian Smith.
Here.
Steve Hackett.
Here.
Lori Chestnut.
Here.
Paul Hagan.
Here.
Alan Keeland.
Here.
Scott Perchatsky.
Here.
Dave Peterson.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Chuck Whitman.
Here.
Mary Fair.
Here.
And Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
Next, we have the consent agenda. Sandy sent out an addendum to your council packet, and in that addendum was just the minutes from the May 1st council meeting in there, so we're just adding that to our consent agenda tonight. Otherwise, everything that you have listed there is what we're looking at. We would vote on this with one motion unless council would like to see any of these individual items that are on the consent agenda moved to the regular agenda. Anybody like to see any of the consent agenda items moved? If not, we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Chestnut, that we approve the consent agenda with that one addition, that addendum. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Under the regular agenda, there are no additional handouts, but we are asking that we move Kathy's presentation about the TIDS. We move that ahead of the closed session that we have planned for tonight. So we're just asking for a little bit of a change in the agenda as far as the order that we're going to have that in. And if you're okay with that, then we'd be looking for a motion to approve the regular agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Hackett, second by Fair, that we approve of the regular agenda with that one change in order. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Under non-agenda items and announcements, we have a certificate of appreciation to an individual that has been here for 5 years, and he's actually attending this meeting tonight. He has to. So it's Brennan Kane. Brennan. This is in recognition of his service to the citizens of Waupaca from 6/3/2013 through 6/3, well, continuing. Thanks. We have a couple of people that have decided to resign from some committees. So we have a resignation from Jack Tomlinson, who was asked to be relieved of his duties on the Emergency Planning Committee. And we also have a resignation letter from Mary Trice, who is on the library board. So we'd ask that you approve their resignations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hackett, second by Peterson, that we, with regrets, we approve the resignations of Jack Tomlinson from the Emergency Planning Committee and Mary Trice from the library board. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Next is our public input time of the meeting. This is for non-agenda items. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to give a presentation on a non-agenda item, please step up to the podium, give your name and address. We do ask that you limit your discussion to 3 minutes or less. Anybody? Dave Peterson.
I would just like to comment on the fact, a place not in my ward, but very near to where I live, the good job, I believe it's the county that gets the credit for taking down an old house on Harrison and Granite Street. It was an eyesore. It was a place for vagrants or whoever would hang out, a safety issue and also a fire issue. So that place is cleaned up and looks quite nice right now.
Yeah, Henry, what is the plan for that property now?
You know, I don't know. We're gonna have some discussions. I think they might have some designs of maybe seeing if the city would take it for a buck or whatever and just attach it to, Jim Boyer Park. I think that's not a foregone conclusion by any means. We have to look at it. And there is, the issue of some outstanding, grass cutting and snow removal bills that we're gonna need to settle up with them as well, potentially. So we've got a little more work to do, but I wanna credit the treasurer with kind of bird dogging it and you know, working with the city and making that happen, so.
Thanks, Dave, though. That, you're right. It's nice to see that, I don't know how long that's been going on, at least 10 years or more. And we were finally able to get the county, convince the county that it was time to tear it down. So, that's great. Any other public input? Yes, sir?
Yeah, my name is Steve Ladke with the Waupaca Community Arts Board. I'm sure you all know me by now. We've been working closely with the council and the city for the last several years, and I just want to invite everybody to our first Summer Nights concert next Wednesday night at South Park. It's a wonderful venue, and I think all of you should come and see what takes place there. The band we're having is Copperbox, which everybody probably knows about, and it's just a great summer event. So I'd like to just extend our invitation to everybody on the council and everybody in the room.
Thank you.
And everybody that's watching and listening.
What time does it start?
Yeah, Steve, you want to elaborate a little more on it? Yeah.
Yeah, the music starts at 7. We've started community art projects for kids and parents and adults. Starting at 6, we have a food truck there, so you can come and have a beverage, come and have a meal, and come and listen to some great swamp zydeco, they call it.
All right. Anybody else have any questions before you make them sit down? No, just kidding. We're good? All right. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Hearing no other public input, we'll move on then to unfinished business. We have an ordinance 0718. It's an ordinance amending section 17.201, parent 2 of the chapter 17 of the Municipal Code of the City of Waupaca entitled Amendments to District Maps. This is our second reading. Real brief, Brennan, tell us what this ordinance is again.
Yep, this is for the proposed 48-unit apartment project located on the northwest corner of Commercial Drive and Webster Avenue, rezoning from I-1 industrial to R3 multifamily.
Great. And this is the second reading, so we did have the first reading at our last council meeting. Unless you have heard any concerns or you have any concerns, I guess I would ask that we adopt this new ordinance in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Keelan, that we adopt ordinance numbers 0718. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
And Alan Keeler.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, next, we have under new business, we have, from the Waupaca Rotary Club, they want, or they're requesting a temporary Class B, license, for their Oktoberfest event, on August 31st, 2018. Their request includes, the closing of North Main Street, and also the partial closure of Sessions Street too, west of North Main Street. Bill, you want to add anything to that? I see you're in the audience, so you're okay? All right. Council have any questions on what they're looking for? Okay, we'd be looking for a motion to approve then.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Chestnut, that we approve of the Class B request for liquor or beer license, Waupaca Rotary Club, and it also includes a couple of road closures too for those dates. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, good luck. Next, we have a request from Living the Waupaca Way temporary Class B license request for farm to table event to be held on Thursday, August 30th, 2018. And this request is coming from Geraldine Ham. Geraldine's here, right? Anything you want to add, Geraldine? Okay. Any questions of? You said you didn't have any.
I do. I changed my mind. You know. Once tickets go on sale, I would encourage all of you to purchase a ticket for the Farm to Table Dinner. It's fabulous. This will be our 3rd annual, and it's really been a hit. So thanks.
All right. Any council members, any questions, staff, of what they're doing here? As she said, this is their 3rd one. Okay, we'd be looking for a motion to approve this.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Fair, that we approve of this request for the Class B temporary license for their Living the Waupaca Way. Any discussion?
Where do we get tickets?
Oh, tickets will go on sale. They have them available at the chamber. Once they're on sale, we'll book that.
All right, any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Good luck, Geraldine. Next, we have Wisconsin Detachment 350. This is Central Wisconsin Marines request to use the City Hall Library front lawn for a fundraising event held on Wednesday, July 4th, 2018. And I see Raleigh's here tonight. Anybody have any information on this? Or Henry? Sandy?
No. I just got a call from Mr. Johnson. They want to promote this, use our grounds during the 4th of July parade to have this promotion. And
You want to say something, Raleigh, about what's going on?
Yeah, the reason for the request is it's our 50th anniversary this year. So we decided to do something special, and the special thing we decided to do was to give purchase clothing and items for the King veterans. And to do that, we've got 3 events designated, and this is one of the events. So we just like to do this, and all proceeds that we get from this will go to King veterans.
Great. Awesome. So,
I can tell you that I have veterans come into my office sometimes, and they come to Veterans Home with nothing, were it not for the donations and the helpful things that people bring to the Veterans Home. They would go on. So thank you.
okay. All right. Okay. So we'd be looking for a motion to approve this request.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Fair, second by Chestnut, that we approve of the request from the Wisconsin Detachment 350 Central Wisconsin Marines to use the front lawn of City Hall Library on July 4th. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Raleigh, good luck. Thanks. Next, we have a recommendation that's coming from the, is this something that I just handled myself? Okay. We have a recommendation from the mayor to appoint Andrew Whitman as our new Parks and Rec director. I would ask that council, that we get a motion to approve that.
Second.
Motion by Mayo, second by Olson, that the council approves the mayor's recommendation and appoints Andrew Whitman to the Parks and Rec director's position effective today, tomorrow, June 6, 2018. Any discussion? None? Andrew's mother is in the audience, a very proud mother, and we might know the proud father too. So, so Andrew, I want to tell you that congratulations to you. I know there's going to be a lot of hard work, but I know it's going to be a lot of fun work for you too. And you know, maybe we can get you a nameplate now too. So. Andrew, you want to say anything?
Really just thank you, and obviously I know a lot of you already, and I look forward to just kind of leading this department in the right direction. I think we've been led well the last 4 years that I've been here, and I plan to continue that and just keep moving forward. I think we have some things to deal with, and we have some neat ideas for the community, so let's keep moving forward.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Although we didn't vote yet, I know. I know, Alan, I know. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against?
I'll abstain from that one.
Okay, and one abstention.
So we don't get in trouble.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. I do want to thank the committee that helped to do the interviews, and it was a unanimous decision on picking Andrew as our Parks and Rec director. So I want to make sure that I recognize Alderperson Eric Olson and Henry, myself, Dana Gusky, who sits on the Parks and Rec board, and we had 2 Parks and Rec directors, one from
Village of Bellevue,
and the other one from City of Oshkosh, and they were very helpful. I think it was a great process, and we got through it, and so Eric, thank you. Henry, thank you for your help with that. All right, let's move on then. We have mayor's appointment, and I'll turn those over to Council President Paul Mayo.
Thank you, Mayor. The mayor would like to appoint Joan Bretzwish and Betty Stewart to the Waupaca Senior Center Advisory Board. Having heard the mayor's choice for the board, I would need a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Keeland, second by Peterson, to approve the mayor's appointment of Joan Bretzwish and Betty Stewart to the Waupaca Senior Center Advisory Board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Okay, next we have award of a contract. This is for the branding and wayfinding study. And Brennan?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This item begins on page 102 of your packet. Earlier this year, in March, the Common Council permitted staff to seek requests for proposals for branding and wayfinding study for the city in conjunction with the Waupaca area Waupaca area. Kathy, help me out here. Visitors Bureau, I can't think of the words right now, in a joint effort to do branding and wayfinding for the region and for the downtown and city alike. We were excited. We did receive 16 original proposals to the RFP that was sent out, and we narrowed it down to 6 that we actually interviewed at the end of April going into early, excuse me, at the end of May going into early June here. This evening, we would like to recommend the hiring of Civic Brand in conjunction with RDG Planning and Design for this project. Civic Brand is based out of Texas, and everyone I think is aware of RDG. They are a sub-consultant to Civic Brand for this project, as they'll have the secondary piece, which is more the wayfinding signage piece, but Civic Brand will have the majority of the project, and they'll be working together with us and the Visitors Bureau, or Convention and Visitors Bureau, for this project. Terry did take this to her board last week, and we are seeking, the project is not to exceed $75,000, and we are evenly split this between the 2 organizations. So this evening we are seeking to award the bid not to exceed $37,500 for the city portion of the project.
Okay, questions, motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mayo, second by Keelan, that we approve of the awarding the branding and wayfinding study contract to Civic Brand out of Richardson, Texas, at an amount to the city to not exceed $37,500. Discussion. Lori?
In that 37,000, is that going to include like the bringing the people here?
Yep, that does include travel expenses.
Okay.
They have, it'll be unique. They'll be here at least a minimum 2 times. We do have a number in the event that we find that a 3rd trip might be necessary. They are doing a similar project right now in Park Rapids, Minnesota. Anyone that worked with when we were working with RDG, they kind of acknowledged that group that was going on, and they originally proposed 2 meetings up there, 2 sessions where they're in for a week. They are here. They entertain, or they take in the different events that are going on. We're hoping to get them in, I believe, for Arts on the Square this year, and they really get involved in the community on the 2 trips that they come up here. But because of our seasonal differences here, that we may see a need to have them come up, say, during the wintertime again, if that's a 3rd trip. And we would come back to the board if that was necessary. But the 75 does include their travel up here and lodging and everything else.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sandy will call the roll.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Steve Hackett, Paul Hagan, Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
and Alan Keeland.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right. Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you.
Next, we have Resolution 1411. This is the Airport Board's 6-year plan. Paul, you got some comments?
Yeah, on page 127 of your packet is the airport's 6-year plan. The only really change from previously was the rehab crossway runway 13 run was moved up due to its deteriorating condition. Other than that, it's not much different than the previous one, and I would request approval.
All right. So we're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 1411.
So moved.
Motion by Whitman. I'm sorry. Second by Peterson, that we approve Resolution number 1411. This is the airport's 6-year plan. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
and Paul Mayo.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, thank you, Paul. Next, we have WPS easement approval. Justin?
Thank you, Mayor. Can be seen on page 128 of your packet is a letter from WPS, and what they are requesting is to I guess, put an easement through our cemetery property just off of High Street. So if you're looking at the packet, I'll direct you down to page 133, excuse me, which kind of shows a general overview of what the project that WPS is looking to do. So they want to improve all their electrical facilities up High Street and around the Highland subdivision, and basically make a loop, much like we do with our water system. But in order to accomplish this, they will have to go through our cemetery. So scrolling back up to page 132 shows you the limits of the easements that they are looking for. They currently have facilities right now in our cemetery, mostly underneath the narrow roadways there up to we have a small garage there. And in order to complete this loop, though, they will have to go, I guess, west of that garage to a right-of-way and then close the loop on Highland. So they worked with us on how to get this easement, and worked with Rhonda, the GIS within City Hall here, to try and develop a good location for this easement so we're not disturbing any graves, any future graves. Where this goes through is a highly wooded section. We're figuring by the time we would need to use this space for grave sites, it's going to be 100 plus years. And we changed the alignment so it'd be more east-west, so that it only takes up like 2 rows in that location. So I guess the last thing to note is that this is just a temporary exhibit. This is not the official one that will be recorded, and what you're going to be approving tonight is this temporary exhibit, and if there is no changes when they do the work, then they will just move ahead with the official exhibit and get that recorded without coming back to you. If there are changes, then I will have to come back and get approval again. So in there is the easement agreement. It's very standard agreement that we allow access to them. They have to maintain and restore anything they disturb. So all in all, it's a good project to improve service to a subdivision in that area and to our residents. So any questions?
They don't pay us for this, do they?
No, we did not ask for any compensation on this. We have a good working relationship with WPS on many I guess, occurrences throughout the city, so we just like to keep that rolling, so.
Maybe they could do a streetlight survey? Just wondering.
Or a few extra LED lights.
You always know where Alan's going, don't you? All right, any other questions of Justin? All right, we'd be looking for a motion to approve this WPS easement through our cemetery.
So move.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Olson, that we approve of the electric underground easement between WPS and the city of Waupaca. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Chuck Whitman.
Aye.
And Alan Keeland.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thanks, Justin. Next, we have resolution number 1412. This has to do with the the project that's going on, the City Hall library parking lot project that's going on downtown. There's going to be some replacements of sidewalks. Help me out, Henry.
Yes, sir.
Keep going.
Okay, well, this resolution is a preliminary resolution. Before the start of the project, we have to signify our intent to levy special assessments. We then will have a public hearing. The law allows us to do the public hearing on the front end of the project or at the tail end. And this resolution calls for the public hearing to start on our next council meeting. Construction, I think, will technically be starting on the 18th, but nothing real significant that first day. What we got to do then is, once the work is all completed, is to come back and do a final resolution that sets the final assessments. Now, we do have some preliminary numbers that were pulled from the bids. So my guess is the final numbers, assessment numbers, won't be not a lot different, but we will need to come back at the completion of the project, and you'll see a final resolution that sets all those assessments. The public hearing, we're required to send all the property owners a public hearing notice, and that'll go out in the next day or so for this 19th public hearing, June 19th public hearing at 6 o'clock. I don't know if anybody has any questions. We're looking to special assess a little over $16,000 of cost. And then, of course, we're a big part of this project, so we, assess ourselves. We just pay for it. And the property owners will be assessed 50% of the cost of the work per our order. Yes.
Yeah, this is similar to our sidewalk
Yeah.
replacement.
201 South Main, Bank 1, is that correct?
Is that
Is
Chase?
that Chase?
That's Chase, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what's right off on the title or
From the tax roll.
property card. We could check that. Yeah, I don't know. We can verify and make sure that that's correct.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? We'll be looking for a motion to approve this resolution then.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hackett, second by Hagan, that we approve of resolution number 1412. This is a preliminary resolution declaring intent to levy special assessment under the municipal police power. Any discussion? If not, Sandy will call the roll.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
and Alan Keeland.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, next we have license report number 1407. This is the annual, which runs from July 1st to June 30th. Class B intoxicating liquor license, Class B fermented malt beverage licenses, Class A intoxicating liquor license, Class A fermented malt beverage license, Class B fermented malt beverage license, and Class C wine license, at least from the businesses that have applied so far. There might be a few stragglers that will end up in our next couple meetings. But we're looking for a motion to approve, and obviously, this all is based on inspections by the police chief, the fire chief, the building inspector, and health inspector, and also doing some background checks on people that might be new in these situations. So the clerk's office is asking that you approve of this license report.
Move to approve license report number 1407.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Fair, that we approve of license report number 1407. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, you have license report 1408. This is goes along with the licenses. These are the arcade amusement device license for the people that have applied so far. And again, these are on a fiscal year, July 1st through June 30th. Again, clerk's office is asking for approval of this license report, 1408.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Peterson, second by Chestnut, that we approve of license report number 1408. That's that arcade amusement device license. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. License report number 1409. This is, has to do with scrap dealer's license. Again, this is an fiscal year, same dates for scrap dealer's license, so just they have to do this just once a year. This probably covers most of them, but there might be some stragglers that will be coming before July 1st yet too. So again, we're looking for approval of license report number 1409.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hackett, second by Chestnut, that we approve of license report number 1409. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Motion carried. Next you have license report 1410. These are the operator license. I know that you see these every month, but again on an annual basis, July 1st through June 30th, all operators have to reapply for their license, and that's why you see so many in this packet. So we're looking for a motion to approve.
Move to approve license report number 1410.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Chestnut, that we approve license report number 1410. This is an operator's license. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Next, we have, we're going to go to number 12, which is issues, projects, discussions. Remember, we have this set aside for 30-minute presentations. Tonight, we actually are going to get a presentation from Kathy Kaza, our finance director, treasurer, which is going to be an annual review of the city's TIDs, and we do this for a couple of reasons, obviously, to inform us of what's going on, but I think it was 2 years ago that the state has required that we also make this same presentation to the board,
Joint Review Board.
Joint Review Board, and that's going to be this
Thursday.
at 10 o'clock in the morning, so if any council members would like to attend that and see it again, you certainly have that right. It would be right in this room here. I think I'm representing the city, and Steve Hackett is also representing the city at that Joint Review Board meeting. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kathy.
Thank you, Mayor. This year, we decided to present to the council before the Joint Review Board. One, because we have some very good news regarding the TIDs, and this presentation starts on page 146 of the packet. Okay, so what I'm going to go over in review is a map of the TIF districts. The city has 8 TIF districts, and just some highlights of each of the different districts and all the districts in total. So I'm including, again, for anybody who doesn't know, these are the locations of the 8 TIF districts within the city. And we have 3 distressed TIDs, which are TID 3, which is the red, TIF 5, which is the yellow, and TIF 8, which is the brown, all on the east side of the city. I've also included in your package, you can probably see it much better, is from the 2017 audit, is the historical sources and uses and status of funds for all of the TIF districts as of the end of December 31st, 2017, which shows that a total at the end that they are in negative balance, fund balance of about $6.1 million. And this is mostly attributed to the advances from the water and sewer funds to the construction in TIF 8. As you can see, the TIF 8 has done about $33 million worth of uses of funds in that fund. So it was a very construction capital intense TIF district. We are in the process of a financial review on all of the TIDs again this year to see where we are, but these are just going to be some highlights. And continuing on, this is a breakdown of the last 4 years from 2014 and 17 of all the TIDs and budget projections out till the end of TID 8, which would be 2032. So I just kind of break down and did some projections for anybody who wanted to see where each of the TID districts are. And at the end, on the next page, you'll see that at the end of the TIDs, we would show a $9.7 million fund balance available if we went full out with the TIDs till the end that each of them could be out there. Just a little graphic. This is the outstanding debt of the TIDs. We're showing TIF 3, TIF 4, TIF 8, and TIF 10. Most of the debt is callable in 2020, and we also, this graph also incorporates the latest refinancing that we did this year. So it's showing that most of the debt will be paid off in 2022, except for TIF 8's debt. Next is TIF 3. This is a more detailed map of the area and showing the different parcels. We still have vacant land available for sale in this area, but about 50%, Brennan, is developed in this TID.
Kathy, can I make a point?
Sure.
Can you go back to the map? Years ago, we reserved this right-of-way with the idea that maybe we would run a spur one day across Royalton and into this vacant land. In dealing with the spurs recently in here with Presto and the propane facility, we've come to learn that this isn't going to happen, that the railroad will not let us do this. So at some point, we probably got to figure out what to do with that. I don't know. We've just talked about it at the staff level.
Some of the highlights for TIF 3 is that we do, starting this year, have 2 development grants that will be paying each of those developers a portion of their taxes back if they meet their valuation targets. This is a distressed TID. It receives funding from TIF 6, and in 2017, I believe it did have some transfers from debt service to cover the shortfall that it needed for debt. We are looking, we refinanced the 2003 and 2007 GO refunding bonds with the 2018 refinancing this year for this TIF. The valuation of this TIF is $11.6 million as of 2017. 2018 will be the last year that we can incur any costs to this TID. So 2018, this year, is the last year we can do anything in this TID. So we are going to be doing the repairs of the railroad spur within that. So when you see the projection on the next page, we have approximately $50,000 for the railroad spur repairs that Justin is going to require, and then the paying out of the development agreements. So we are looking, instead of going out to 2034, which we could if this TIF stayed distressed, because of TIF 6 donation being a donor TID, we're going to be prepaying on the 2020 call the 2010 debt, and we can do an early termination in 2021 of this TID and put $11 million back onto the tax roll. So that's a good one. TIF 4 is Western Avenue. It is a donor TID to TID 8, the East Gateway. It has been, it has several development grants, the Dialysis Center and Little Wolf Automotive, which should start paying out in 2017. Its increment value is $25,611,000, and we would not terminate TIF 4 until we would terminate TIF 8 because of the money that it's flowing into TIF 8 to pay its debt service. So it's just kind of moving it all out. At the end of 2032, there would be $7.5 million left in this TID, even with paying some of the debt. However, that does not include the payback of the utility advance. So I just want to put those numbers out there for you because we're looking at still a financial review and see what the fiscal impact is on different financing for that. TIF 5 is the airport, and this TID is a distressed TID. TIF 6 has been donating to cover the shortfall in the increment. The total increment value of this TID is $807,500. 2018 would be the last year to incur any costs on this TID. So what I did was I prepaid all of the outstanding debt for this TID using TIF 6 increment, and at this point I'll be coming back this fall and at budget time and requesting council to close this TID. There's no more, nothing's moving at in this TID. Most of it, the land there is city-owned airport, so we can close the TID as the debt has already been paid for and put $807,000 of value back on the tax roll. TIF 6 is West Fulton. This is like Foxfire Golf Course and the Ale House or Par 4 Resort now. So this area has been really funding TIF 3 and 5's debt and costs because of the shortfalls in that. And the only reason why it's been able to do that is that refinancing the debt that we had for TIF 6. It had its last debt payment in 2017, and it does generate approximately $666,000 worth of increment each year. So it is a good donor TID. We are looking at using the increment on this to pay off the debt in TIF 3 early at the 2020 call, and it still would have 1.4 million in 2022 to distribute to each of the taxing jurisdictions when it terminated. So this would, and bring 24,117,000 of increment value back onto the tax roll. So in 2021, 22, we would do that. TIF 7 is the TID that we closed last year because its debt had been paid and there are no other costs. We've filed the reports with the state, and the state has received it and has taken it off of our termination. So what I've added into the presentation is the distribution of $88,184, of which the city is going to receive $29,845 of it. So I will be coming back and asking council where they would like me to put it. It also will be returning $3,446,000 worth of value to the tax base in 2018, which will be good for us. I also added the auditors did the final financial report on the TIF for the termination for the state, and I've included that in your handout. TIF 8 is the East Gateway. We are seeing a little bit of more improvements going into this TID. Brennan just brought the ordinance for the apartment building that's going in there. One of the things that we have to be aware of with this TIF, even though it is distressed and can go up to 2032, is that 2019 is the last year that we can incur any costs. So part of the, we'll have to make sure that the costs for the regional retention pond are all done by 2019 so that it's covered within the TIF district. This is all of its debt gets paid by pretty much TIF 4. It only generates approximately $150,000 worth of increment, and it has almost $300,000 a year in debt service. So it definitely relies on TIF 4 for funding. The presentation that I have in the packet is just relative without the water and sewer utility debt advance. So I wanted to show the performance without that amount still being due, but showing you on the bottom in the dark green area what that impact is still, that amount's still out there on the financial statements as due to the utilities. But I wanted to show just the performance without that skewing the numbers. So we could keep this TID open until 2032, but I'm looking at some possibilities of closing this one early with using the increment from 4 to see how the performance would be once we have the apartment buildings built and possibly close this sometime in 2025, 26 instead, and then close 4 at that same time. So I'm looking at moving everything up as fast as possible to bring the value back onto the tax roll. TIF 9 is Royalton Street. This is the old Buyer's Guide building area. It did generate increment at one time, but since in the last few years, it has not had an increment. So the money that's sitting there is just sitting there until we decide to use this. And with the foundry purchasing that building, it's kind of, we'll see what's available. Otherwise, I'm looking at possibly moving this money to TIF 10 and using it for debt service, which was approved by council in 2007 to do. Our last TID is Badger Street, and this includes the school district building, the rec center, old St. Mary's Church, Waupaca Hotel, the downtown apartments. So this is that TID. One of the things is that we received from the downtown apartments the development guarantee early to prepay, and we've been using that with the supplement of the debt service and the increment to pay the debt service. So that debt is callable in 2020, and we could easily use the funds that are remaining in TIF 8 to pay off the debt on this one. The last year to incur costs in TIF 10 is 2023. There's a $3.1 million increment value that would be returned to the tax roll. Otherwise, it would terminate, so we would look at terminating probably in 2021. So, any questions? I hope I didn't go too fast. Anybody has any questions, they can always give me a call.
Yeah, so that sounds good.
Kathy, I have one question, and you explained this to me, but I just want to make sure the council understands too. When we put these properties back on the tax roll, explain what that means and how that affects us.
Right now, all of the taxing jurisdictions that have a levy, we have an additional levy that's kept for the TIFs, and it's based on the value within that TIF. So we keep the school district's portion, the county's portion, and the Fox Valley portion of that value to generate an increment to pay the costs within those TIDs. Same thing with the city's portion. What would happen is we would put that value back out onto the tax roll, and the tax rate would go down because it's not generating that need to have that increment. So that value would go back on the regular tax roll and either reduce the tax levy, the current tax levy of that jurisdiction, or the jurisdiction could increase its levy to take in that value at that time.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other comments, questions? All right. Thank you. Let's move on then. We actually are going to go back, and we have a request to go into closed session. As soon as I find it here. We need a motion to convene into closed session.
So moved.
Motion by Keelan, second by Chestnut, that council convenes into closed session in accordance with Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, Parent 1, Parent E, as it concerns the deliberation or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. All right, any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Chuck Whitman.
Aye.
Alan Keeland.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
and Eric Olson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, so we are officially, as soon as that door shuts, we're officially in closed session